my friend. Cheers, and welcome to another edition of Coffee with Kelly, our super cash parenting chat I host right here every week. So if you would like your question featured on an upcoming episode, make sure to either leave it in the comments or tag me using the hashtag Coffee with Kelly. And today we're covering all things grandparents and in-laws. So diving right into it, our first question comes from May via YouTube, and her question is, how to deal with grandparents getting involved in education when you don't agree with their point of view, but don't want the kids to feel in between. I know, so tricky, right? And I think this could apply to a lot of parents, because there could be conflict as early as kindergarten, right? If you're wanting to send your kids to a private kindergarten versus a public kindergarten, or you're wanting to homeschool, or even as our kids get older, deciding on middle schools, high schools, it can be a lot. It can be a lot. First off the top, I always like to assume the best intentions given our past history and our past experience, because a lot of times, you know what, it may come across as being really critical or meddling, but I really and truly believe that lots of times grandparents, they have our best interests in mind and the best interests of the grandkids in mind, and sometimes it just kind of comes out the wrong way. So always try to assume the best, because sometimes what we can hear is, I don't trust you, or I don't think you're responsible, or I think you're making a bad choice, and that may not be their intention at all. They may be coming from a completely different place. So always just try to check yourself and assume the best. And of course, I always like to consider too, is there any merit to their suggestion? Is there any merit to what they're saying? Because it may have something to do with our choice that we haven't even considered, that hasn't even entered our consciousness, or we've been avoiding thinking about. And the next thing I would really suggest is getting on the same page as your partner if you are parenting in a partnership. Discuss your concerns with your partner. Also discuss the education, whatever this educational choice is that you are making together, to make sure that you're on the same page, and really go over your reasons for wanting to make this decision and your thinking behind it, to help increase your confidence when you are dealing with grandparents or in-laws or whoever who may not necessarily agree with your choice. And then that way, when you're both on the same page, if there does come a time when you need to sit down with your in-laws or sit down with the grandparents, do it together, and not just, okay honey, you go talk to your mom because she's driving me crazy, or honey, okay, you go do this, or okay, I'll talk to my mom. And try to have a united front in these issues where you're butting heads or disagreeing. And a couple of strategies, if you are to the point where you do need to have a conversation with your in-laws or your grandparents, is to always come in peace. I know it can be so hard, and like when you feel like you're in the heat of the moment and you feel like a line's been crossed and you want to address it right away. If you're having those feelings like you need to put someone in their place, or you need to set the record straight, that's probably not the right time to do it. Because when you come in peace, you are way more likely to be heard and understood, rather than going guns a-blazing. They're probably just going to put up walls and tune out anything you have to say anyway. So come in peace. And a way that I like to approach it is, of course, you want to get your point across. You want to get your points across as to why you're choosing, whether you're choosing homeschooling or whatever the educational choice is that you have made. Instead of just going in with your reasoning, address their concerns first. So just even language you can use is, I understand you're worried that Sally won't make as many friends if she's homeschooled. The way we look at it is XYZ. So whenever you're starting the conversation, first address whatever that piece is that you feel like you've been criticized on. So that way it shows them that you're listening to them, you're hearing their concerns, and then giving your reasoning for why you may not be as concerned as they are. And then of course, I would try to work to include the grandparents in positive ways in regards to their education. So of course, they don't have the final say on your kid's education, you do, because you're the parent. If it does come down to a situation where you've chosen one avenue, they're adamantly against it, still try to involve them, because obviously education is important to them if they're even bothering to say anything at all. So try to include them in positive ways, whether it's including them in field trips or looking at school brochures. Send pictures of the kids' science experiment, send little texts of what they're doing throughout the day, to involve them in a positive way so that they feel involved in the kids' education, so they don't feel completely shut out from it altogether. And if they won't quit, if they just won't stop, they won't give up, you still feel like you're being needled and undermined and it's causing you a lot of stress, it's time for a serious conversation. And of course, do this when the kids aren't around. If you're parenting in a partnership unit, do it together. And then when you're approaching the conversation, again, always try to start by acknowledging their good intentions or acknowledging their concerns, and then being very firm and very clear on what your decision is. And sometimes what we can do is we can say, okay, I understand this and I understand you're concerned about this, but we've decided blah, blah, blah. To me, the but, but is just opening the door to having your boundaries stepped on. It doesn't really lead to that sense of confidence and that sense of there being a final decision made that you maybe want to get across. So I would recommend changing your but for an and. So it's still addressing their concern. I understand you're concerned about Sally's social emotional development, and we've decided she's going to be homeschooled until grade 3. You've respected them, you've acknowledged their concern while also being very firm in what you have decided. Another thing is to be really honest about the impact of their criticism or their disagreement, or however you feel like they're interfering. Be really honest about how it's affecting you and how it's affecting the kids, because sometimes when we get upset, we can just fight fire with fire and get really angry and butt heads and everything just explodes, nothing gets solved. Instead, take the approach of being honest about the underlying hurt that it's causing you. Say, you know what, I'm feeling really disrespected. I'm feeling like you don't trust my decisions as a parent. I feel like you don't think I'm a good mom. Like, whatever that issue may be for you, be really honest about its impact. And sometimes that can be enough to help the message really get through. So I hope that helps you in dealing with whatever educational choice you're trying to make. Just really try to assume the best intentions whenever you feel like the grandparents are interfering. Get on the same page as your partner, and then acknowledge the grandparents' concerns while also being really firm on what your decision is and that this is the choice that you're making and that you would really appreciate their support. Best of luck to you. Of course, leave any questions in the comments below. I'd love to chat further. All right, and moving along, our next question is about dealing with a difficult mother-in-law. And it comes from Bella LB. I like that. Bella LB via Instagram. And she asks how to deal with a difficult mother-in-laws, especially regarding criticizing things related to their grandkids and throwing outrageous comments here and there. Do we avoid conflict or set the record straight? Oh snap. Do we avoid conflict or set the record straight? And do you know what? I think my first reaction is to say neither. How helpful is that? Because I feel like avoiding conflict, honestly, it can make us feel comfortable, it can make us feel safe in the moment, but in the end, all avoiding conflict does is prolong the conflict. So I am all about facing conflicts head on. Now, when it comes to setting the record straight, I know that may not be your attention, but when I hear like setting the record straight, like look at me, I'm getting like all sassy even thinking about it. When I want to set the record straight, I am not open to outside feedback. I am not open to anyone else's opinion, and I just want to give you the what for. So I would not approach it from that vein either, because again, that'll only seek to increase the conflict. I don't know if that's what you meant, but that's just kind of, I don't know what that says about me. But that's just where my mind goes. So first thing, whenever I feel like I'm being criticized or like comments are really bothering me, I always ask myself, is this criticism or is this just a difference of opinion? Because I know with me, I can be really sensitive, and I can take, if someone disagrees with me or has a different point of view, sometimes I can take it really personally, and I can feel like I'm being criticized or I'm being attacked, even when that is absolutely not the intention of what was being said. That's like my own stuff. That's my own like gobbledygook I make up in my head. So just be really honest with yourself. Is this a true criticism? Is this really an outrageous comment? Or is this just me being sensitive? I'm not saying at all that you are. I just know that I can have a tendency to do that. And then I like to get really curious. Like, what is this even about? What is this comment about? Is this about the kids? Is this truly about criticizing the kids or criticizing my parenting? Or is this about our relationship? I just like to get really curious, because I find when I can stay in that curious mindset, I'm more open to possibilities and I'm more open to seeing things from other perspectives. Because when I start making assumptions, oh my God, it's like game over. It's so not helpful, because then you start creating drama that like doesn't even exist, right? So just get really curious about what's going on, why it's being said, the intentions behind it, and being really open to seeing things from your mother-in-law's perspective. And if you've done that, if you've stayed curious, you've stayed open, you've assumed the best intentions, and it's not a difference of opinion, it is straight up criticism, it is undermining your parenting, it is her being really outrageous, you absolutely need to address the conflict. Like, absolutely. It's the only way to move through it. And I wish I could give you something that would make it more comfortable or make it more easy. It won't be. It's hard. Dealing with conflict is so hard, but the pain of dealing with the conflict is so much less. It's so much less than living the whole rest of your life dealing with this stress of constantly fielding these comments or fielding these criticisms and dealing with how it makes you feel. So I really encourage you to take steps to address it if it isn't something you can just laugh off, or if it's not something you can just let roll off your shoulder, if it's something that really and truly is bothering you. So again, like I was saying with May, discuss it in a time of calm. Of course, if you do have a partner, absolutely, I would recommend pulling them into it and having a conversation so it doesn't feel like you against her, so you can show that you are a united front with your partner and that your partner supports you. And not with the kids around, of course. Now, if you are like a pro at handling conflict, if you are a pro at being really respectful and really feel like you're a model of how to deal with tough situations with empathy and compassion, then by all means, do that when the kids are around. Like, that would be an amazing example. But like, I know for me personally, it's still not something I'm super fabulous at, like in the moment. I don't trust myself to always have like the quote unquote perfect response to dealing with conflict. So I would not address that when my kids are around. I recommend having them separate unless you're like super pro star at dealing with conflict. And again, be really honest about your true feelings, because it's really easy to say, I'm angry, I'm furious. It's a lot harder to say, I feel like you don't care about me. I feel like you don't value me. I feel like you wish I wasn't married to your son. Like, that's a lot harder to say. Of course, I don't know if that's like how you actually feel. Those are just examples off the cuff. But look at what is really and truly bothering you deep down about those comments. Absolutely express that to her. Sorry, I have a cold. My voice is like, it's dying on me. Here, just a second. Oh my gosh, sorry guys. I'm fading fast. Okay, but I'm almost done talking, so it's okay. And then if the criticism and the undermining and the comments are still continuing after you've done all that, after you've been really open, really honest, really respectful, after you've taken time to consider, is this just a difference of opinion or is she actually criticizing me? If the red flags are still up and you are feeling like it's not a good environment for you or your kids, you can always choose to spend less time with her. You absolutely, there is no law, I shouldn't say that, I'm not a lawyer, but you get to decide what is a healthy environment for your kids. You get to decide who you spend time with. You get to decide who is involved in your kids' lives. And if there is this energy that is bringing you all down and it's actually causing harm, because it's one thing if they just say things you don't like or you think they're annoying sometimes or whatever, that's life. But if you feel like it is something that's actually causing harm, you can absolutely choose to spend less time with that person. And I'm not talking like cutting all ties forever or turning your back or having a big blowout, but just being firm about your boundaries, about when you are and are not willing to see or spend time with this person. So I hope that doesn't come across as being too harsh. I think sometimes we can feel guilted into, we have to do this or we have to spend time with this person, or this person always makes me feel crap, but I feel like I have to. You don't have to do anything. You do not have to do anything. Your job is to keep your best interest, your kids' best interest, your family's best interest in mind. And if you are getting red flag after red flag, that there is a person in their life that is causing them stress and causing them harm, it's your responsibility to then do something about that. And the easiest way is to choose to spend less time. So I don't even know if your situation is that severe, but I know that there are people in situations out there. So I would just encourage you to consider that choice if you are someone out there who is dealing with a situation that is that severe or that extreme. You gotta take care of you gotta take care of your babies, you gotta take care of your family, even if that means stepping back from some familial relationships. Well, that was kind of a downer to end on, wasn't it? Sorry, but I guess not everything has a super happy ending, right? Like, sometimes the best choice is choosing to step back. I hope that helps, Bella LB. I could just say your name forever, it's so fun. But thanks again for submitting it. Thanks to May as well for submitting her question via YouTube. Again, leave your questions, comments below. You can DM me, tag me on social media using the hashtag coffeewithkelly. I always love hearing from you. It makes my day when I get your questions and comments. So thank you. It's my absolute pleasure to join you every week for our little coffee chats. And hopefully my cold is gone by next week. My goodness, I know, I'm sure I sound absolutely dreadful, but oh well. Take care, my beautiful friends. I'll see you next week.